When you're looking for a solicitor to deal with your case, you don't just look for any solicitor, you look for the right solicitor. An expert who knows what he's doing can deal with your case the right way, achieving the best results. OBASEKI Solicitors has more than 100 years of specialist experience serving the local community in immigration law, property law, human rights legislation, civil and criminal litigation, family law, employment law, Sharia law, business law, maritime and commercial law, providing professional legal services globally in Africa, Asia and Europe. Be assured we'll be able to deal with your case the absolute right way with results. So, contact us today by phone on 020-7739-7549 or go online at www.legalpal.com.
Good evening. Welcome again to another episode of Truth and Justice TV. Thank you for joining me once again. And what a week we've had. It's been quite the thing, hasn't it? Now, if we talk about what's been happening in the news, it's been just phenomenal cases, awful cases. We've seen another set of people convicted for the grooming. We've seen another case, though, that didn't quite catch the headlines of a paedophile ring. And many people are kind of discussing between the fact that the Asian men who have been convicted have been quite splashed across the news, but this Caucasian ring or British ring of paedophiles, there wasn't so much of a big noise or a lot of noise about it, and also the fact that their colour wasn't also profiled either. Then we've also had our issue with Brexit and Theresa May further having threats of rebellion from at least 40 of her cabinet members. That's quite worrying because she's trying to go in to secure the deal, as you all know. But as I've told you, whether the Brexit is a hard Brexit or a soft Brexit, if you're in business, you've still got to survive. And then there's been the sad case of the journalist, Mr. Khashoggi, who was what we can now say is clearly murdered in the Saudi Arabian embassy. And it took them more than 18 days to acknowledge that that journalist lost his life in their embassy. From the different excuses, really poor, I would say, excuses that insulted our intelligence. They've now come up and confirmed that he was murdered there. The allegation of a fist fight is not laughable. It's actually a further insult to our intelligence. As we've all heard, 15 men flew out to Turkey with a bone saw, dismembered him, and unfortunately they tried to cover it up. But we're going to talk about business and other things on our program, but we're also going to start talking about the important cases that are in the news at the beginning. My name's Jennifer OBASEKI, as you know. Some of you call me Mum on the Run. You can watch this program live on truthandjustice.tv on Facebook or through Sky. Whatever it is, make sure you do join us, otherwise you'll be missing out. Because today I'm going to be talking about business coaching and business mentoring. Now, you hear these terms all the time, but do you really know what they mean? And do you know the difference between the two? Very important. Today I have a very special guest, and his name is Mr. Ansari Senthill. Ansari Senthill. And those of you in the business community would know the name. I would say if you've been in London and you've been doing business in the last 10 years, you would know the name. But he's here today to answer some of your questions on business coaching. Mr. Ansari Senthill, thank you for honouring our invitation.
Pleasure
today.
to be here.
Now, I would say you are the coach extraordinaire.
Oh,
is that
fantastic.
a good way to describe you?
Yeah, I love it.
But for those people who don't know you, please tell them who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Ansari Senthill. As Jenny mentioned, I'm a business coach and mentor. I support business owners, a whole range of different business owners, and I'm part of the Action Coach franchise. And I've been doing that for the last 7 years. So 7 years ago, I was waiting to go to Vegas for my 2 weeks training. So fantastic experience that was.
Now, as I've mentioned, some people don't know the difference between a business mentor and a business coach. So would you be able to distinguish the two for us today?
Yeah, I think I can explain that. I think sometimes it can be semantics because you can say, well, I'm mentoring somebody, I'm coaching somebody. Generally, the mentor tends to be a little bit more casual a relationship. Generally, when you say you've got a business mentor, it's not so formalized. It's somebody that you can call, somebody you can speak to occasionally.
Ask for a little bit of advice now and
Yeah,
then.
get advice now
Guidance.
and then. That's tend to be how it's used. With coaching, we tend to try and formalize it by having a regular slot that we speak to you on, like a personal trainer. So we'll speak to you every Monday at 10 o'clock, or every other Monday, or once every month. And it's a booked-in, scheduled meeting that is structured and facilitated in a way that guides you through your business growth and development.
So one is structured, that's the coaching, it's structured, more formal arrangement, scheduling, a coaching program that's scheduled around your goals, your aims. And the other one, the mentoring, is more of a casual relationship in the sense that you call on them whenever you need them for guidance and advice. Good?
Yeah, I would say so. Generally, I think that's how it is. When people say they got a mentor, it tends to be a bit looser. But we say mentoring, it depends what people are comfortable with. If they're comfortable with mentoring, we say mentoring. If they're comfortable with coaching, it can be semantics. But generally, when people say they got a mentor, it's looser.
I sit down and say, are these things needed? I've always said to myself, look, I'm going to get myself a mentor or a coach, and it never happens. I'm always just busy putting one foot in front of the other and going forward. And what would you say would be the benefits of having a business coach?
Yeah, well, we say everybody should have a coach. I have a coach myself, and we speak on a regular basis every week. But the benefit of having a coach is that you have somebody to support you in your business. Generally, business can be very lonely. Those of us who are in business, we know that more than anybody, especially if you work on your own at home. That's even worse. But even if you have a team, if you have issues with cash flows, staffing, people off sick, stress with the bank manager, orders not going through, you can't really talk to your staff about it. So you could be surrounded by 50 people, but you can't really
have those discussions.
Yeah, you can't really have those discussions with your team. You've got to keep that to yourself. And sometimes your partner at home, wife, husband, or other,
doesn't want to hear it every
They don't
evening.
want to hear it either
Every evening.
And
before they
also,
sleep.
they may be the person that told you not to do it in the first place.
Okay, and they're the person telling you to shut the shop
So you
up.
then don't want to be telling them, look, I'm having cash flow issues. They say, well, I told you not to start that business in the first place. So a coach is also a confidant, somebody you can speak to in confidence,
That's true, a confidant.
who hasn't got an emotional relationship to the business, who can be not cold, but be objective and sort of put your face in front of the mirror and say, give you some honest feedback about where you're going and what you're doing, and hold you to account as well. Of course.
Very good point you made about the emotional pull. And there's a question I normally ask people who sit in that chair that are doing business, and it's passion or profit.
Always profit.
Yes.
It's always about the profit. You can have passion
you can
and
have
be very
passion
poor,
And that's exactly the answer one of the other guests gave. So when you've got those emotional ties, when you've been emotionally invested, the time, the money, the I cannot fail, I don't want to be embarrassed, I don't want to tell people this is not going well, those emotions can sometimes cloud your decision. But a business coach can come in and look at things objectively and say, listen, you've got to stop this, you've got to put a deadline on that, or maybe you ought to do these things in a different way. And it's good to have that third eye, that objective experience to come in and regiment you so that you can push your business to the next level. Okay, now, when you talk about this coaching, what if somebody wanted to go into this industry of coaching? Because we see all these adverts and these pop-ups that say executive coach, roll your business onto the next level. Let me give you the 5 steps into this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And you sit down and say, is this just marketing? Is it necessary? Number one, as a customer, you say that. Then other people that are quite successful might think, actually, I know a 3-step way that's a lot better. What would you say to those who want to go into this industry?
Well, I would say there's no better way than to do it with Action Coach. We're the biggest and the best in the business. Well, Action Coach is a franchise, but it's all right saying you're a franchise, but what is your background and history? So if somebody says, is thinking about getting a coach or thinking about getting into coaching, what you check out is,
You have the quality.
what's their experience? Yeah, what experience do they have? What credentials do they have? Now, we coach in over 80 countries. So that's pretty decent record, and we've been going for 25 years. We also have a guarantee, a 17-week guarantee that says, if you don't, and this is the official guarantee, some people offer other guarantees, but the official 17-week guarantee is saying, look, in about 4 months, if we've looked at your numbers at the beginning and we've agreed to coach you, that if in those 4 months you're not earning more than what we're charging you, we'll coach you for free for 12 months. We have to
So
coach
there's
you
a
for
money
free.
back guarantee. I
Basically,
don't think people realise that.
Basically, yeah, we'll coach you for free for the 12 months, and obviously we don't
So
want to coach them for free, so we've got to
actually,
deliver.
ladies and gentlemen, that's quite a good offer. After your first business quarter with them, if you're not performing better whilst you've got your coach, then you've got an extra 12 months free. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, the 12 months we've
Wow.
got to coach you for nothing. Obviously, you've got to commit to take action. It's like going to the
Exactly.
gym.
Can't be missing those meetings.
Yeah, if you're not going swimming lessons, you're not going to the gym, and you say, oh, well, this is not working. You say, well, when's the last time you went to the gym? Well, 2 months ago. Well, that's not
It's
really
like
going to
me
work.
and my diet, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I see food and I put on weight. I see cake and it calls my name. So I cannot say
Sounds
that
like
none
me.
of these diets are working for me. I can't blame the diets. I have to blame myself. So you've got to put in your own side of
Yeah.
the deal. You've got to attend to the meetings, do the tasks that you're asked, take the action that your action coach tells you to do, basically. So how long what's the longest you've had somebody under your wings, if that makes sense?
Yeah, about 5 years.
5
So
years,
some people can
wow.
stay for just a few months. Some people can have a one session. They want some business planning. They want to have some, some objective discussion. Sometimes
Okay.
people say, look, come and facilitate a meeting between the two people or between the team. But as I said, longest is 5 years, over 5
Wow.
years. So it's amazing. You can deliver some great results in that time.
And I'm hoping that your email is on the screen, so if people want to get hold of you, what's the best way they can get hold of you? Let them know.
Easiest way to get hold of me is to Google my name, because Asari, A-S-A-R-I, Asari St. Hill, is not that common. So as soon as you put Asari St. Hill,
Quite
you get my
unique.
LinkedIn, you get my email, you get everything. It's all on there. It's very easy to find me.
And are you able to tell us some of your successes of people that you're quite proud of
Yeah,
that
well,
have been under your wing?
since you mentioned 5 years, I was particularly proud. I won't embarrass him by mentioning his name, but just one, he was in retail. And it's interesting because I'm a member of BNI as well, Business Network, and it was one of my first referrals in the BNI group I was in about 6 years ago. And quite interestingly, he has some retail outlets, just a couple, and then he developed over the years to about 10 retail outlets,
Whoa.
from less than 1 million to 5 million. So it's phenomenal growth in that period, and
Excellent
having a
growth.
whole structure,
Excellent growth.
team, because the other thing that we love is that how many jobs did that create? Created maybe about
Exactly.
40 jobs. So that's people who didn't have a job who now had a job, people who had apprentices that didn't have an apprentice.
Excellent.
And it's also a business opportunity for others that he ended up doing it in such a way that people could copy that business and set up using the name. So it was almost, we were getting ready for pre-franchise.
Wow.
And so fantastic experience. That was really something special. And that was a family business.
That's really good. Knowing that you can go from single trader to company and then helping somebody build up to the point where they're now setting up their, franchising structure so that they're actually creating quite an industry and creating those jobs. Creating those jobs is something that is quite a proud achievement, actually.
Absolutely,
You're not
'cause you're
just
giving something back.
empowering one person, you're empowering that person to now empower so many others.
Absolutely,
Amazing.
absolutely.
Amazing. So what's next on the horizon for Mr. Ansari St. Hill, mega coach, super duper amazing Mr. Coach?
Well, there's a number of things. One of the things, well, it's always, I love doing seminars.
Okay.
So I always do I do a lot of seminars. I do them in
I met you
our
at a
community.
seminar.
Yeah, in our
the community,
communities, as
in
well
Tottenham.
as my own
Yes.
ones that I run in. I just book a hotel, a nice room, projector, whatever, and I try to give business tips. I just love to give business tips to people to show them how they can change their business by thinking a little bit differently and what sort of strategies they can use. Also, obviously, it gives me a platform to obviously tell them a bit about coaching. And the next thing is books. I'm
Yes.
actually drafting a couple of books at the moment. Not many people know it,
Excellent.
but one's on restaurant industry and one's on business in general. And both of them are designed for people to be able to pick up the book and say, if I was running a restaurant and I read this book, would it be a better business? And yes, there's lots of
Excellent.
tips and ideas about that. I've been doing a lot of research on it recently with some of the shows.
And when
as
is
well.
it going to be published?
I'll say next summer.
Okay.
I'm committing to that
You
now,
know,
isn't it? I've got
I'm
to
going
get
to
it
have
out by next
somebody.
summer.
I'm going to have somebody on with regards to writing books. I'm not going to tell you her name yet, but she is a phenomenal woman. And I wrote a book last year, and believe me, I started last year, and I thought this task, because I was just writing a chapter, was going to be easy. It was the most cathartic experience that I ever have gone through, and some of you may know it's called African Women in Europe. and I'm in there. My chapter's called Mum on the Run, my hashtag, which everybody knows me by. But that reflection, those, let me say, those chapters, putting my all into it, the research, reflecting on my own personal life, the experiences, thinking, am I saying too much? Am I saying too little? Then reading over it, then lacking confidence when I pushed it through to the publisher. Wow. Writing a book is as close as you're going to come to giving birth, sir.
Oh dear, that sounds a
But
bit painful.
do get on with it. It's going to be a beautiful thing at the end. That's all I'm going to say
well, that's
to
what I
you.
think, yeah.
So, as you've heard, we're going to have lots and lots and lots from Mr. Ansari. So till next year publishing, he's going to continue doing his seminars. You've heard about the Guarantee with Action Coach. Now, I didn't even know that existed. But what we're going to do is after the break, I have another special guest for you. But towards the end of the program, in the last 15 minutes, I'm going to take your calls. So if you have any questions for Mr. Ansari, please make sure that you call the number on the screen. That's in the last 15 minutes of the show, and he'll be here to answer your questions. So we're going to take a break and see you in just a moment.
When you're looking for a solicitor to deal with your case, you don't just look for any solicitor, you look for the right solicitor. An expert who knows what he's doing can deal with your case the right way, achieving the best results. OBASEKI Solicitors has more than 100 years of specialist experience serving the local community in immigration law, property law, human rights legislation, civil and criminal litigation, family law, employment law, Sharia law, business law, maritime and commercial law, providing professional legal services globally in Africa, Asia and Europe. Be assured we'll be able to deal with your case the absolute right way with results. So, contact us today by phone on 020-7739-7549 or go online at www.legalpal.com.
Welcome back to Truth and Justice TV. Now, we've had our special guest on, Mr. Ansari St. Hill, action coach extraordinaire, and he's told you all about his excellent services and his history of being with Action Coach for the last 7 years. And we're going to go on and look at one of the publications that he's been involved in. And if you let us have a look at this, I think if our viewers can see it, yes, The Voice. Some of you may know The Voice. It's an ongoing publication that's been around in the UK for more than 20 years.
A long time, very long time.
And recently, well, I have written for them once or twice in the past, articles in relation to immigration, and I've supported them. But they've now brought out this Supporting Business in Our Community magazine. And it's a business guide, really. So you'll find Mr. Ansari at page 25, and you'll be able to get also a couple of other listings for other businesses in the community that you can sort of lean to. How did you come about being involved with this publication?
Yeah, it's interesting because I contacted The Voice because I actually want to write for them on a weekly basis. So we're in discussions about that. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I'll be doing a regular article because our community is, wherever I speak, people are saying we need more of this. There's so much stuff about business. They want to know how to open a business. People are already in business. How can we be better? We have so many. Classic one is the restaurants. How many times a restaurant open, a Caribbean restaurant, and then within a year it closes down,
Closes down.
or a couple of years closed down. So we don't want to keep that yo-yo situation. So they then approached me when they were doing this publication, said, would I be interested in being involved? I said, yes, of course. They also, funny enough, it's in here as well, the article on Brexit, which is very topical at the moment, of course. They asked me to comment on Brexit and say, is there an angle on Brexit that is different from the mainstream angle? And I said I thought there was, because I think we have to look at Brexit from our community's point of view and see the potential opportunities there is under Brexit, because it's going to happen.
I've spoken about Brexit proofing your business, I think since last year, and that's up and down the country and across Europe. And when I do the seminars about Brexit proofing your business, I kind of start with, as I said before the break, whether Brexit is going to be a hard Brexit, meaning lots of rules, still loads of barriers, and no free movements, if you think about it like that. Whether it's going to be a hard Brexit or a soft Brexit, that is with agreements on movement of goods and services, not so many barriers, not so many regulations. Whether it's hard or soft, your business must survive. So you've got to Brexit proof your business. Now, with Theresa May and her angle, which is trying to maybe facilitate a soft Brexit, she's trying to facilitate a handover that has a transitional period that enables rules and regulations come into play in a soft manner, not just a hard and fast, you're out of the EU, stop at the border, where you pay this tariff to come in. She's trying to facilitate that, whereas many members in her cabinet who want the hard Brexit want Britain to leave, no more ties, no more associations, which is absolutely impossible. Most recently, even space programs may come to a halt, from what I can hear, if we don't negotiate this thing to the fullest. It's not just the Northern Ireland border between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic that's the issue. It really is the movement of goods and individuals that are facing crisis and problem if this is not negotiated well. One of the things I was saying to people who are into distribution and food is to have a distribution partner on the continent, maybe re-register part of your business in Ireland, and also have maybe another registration or depot on European mainland, so that you as your company and as your distribution, your supply chain doesn't have any barriers. That's just one element. But you may have to think about having agent partners on the European continent. You should be sourcing those people now. March is round the corner.
It's imminent.
It's imminent. And the fact that the UK government haven't got themselves together should not stop you from putting those plans together. You've got to have a plan A and a backup plan B so that your business continues to flow. The other thing, as Mr. Ansari Sentil said, is that you've got to actually think about the benefits. Now, the benefits is saying, hey, I trade in Britain. I fly the flag of brand Britain. And you start to think about everything that's unique to you about being strategically placed in the UK. This is a very excellent country to operate from. Hands down, no matter the problems that we talk about socially, when it comes down to business, we are strategically placed. So when you say, speaking to people about making sure they maximize all that is about having to do their business in the UK, can you tell us what kind of advice you give them?
Well, one of the things I talk about is also thinking bigger. We always say to people, think big, think bigger. It's sort of Grant Cardone kind of advice. There's 10 times everything. But also, think about, as you said, brand Britain, that we know even from the countries, sort of former colonies, if you want to put it that way, where our families are from. If it's made in Britain, what does that mean?
They want it. They think it's better.
So they look at things made in Britain with such a high...
It's a standard.
High standard.
It tells you standard when you say that.
I come across so many people who make products here. So they make hair products, the skin products, the shea butter, all that type of stuff. Now, if you can say it's sourced in Africa, that's obviously a nice thing. It's natural, it's organic and all that. But you're trying to... A lot of the people are saying they want to sell it in Europe. And I'm saying, yeah, but the market in Europe for that is going to be smaller than even the market in Brazil or Africa and places like that. So what I encourage people to think about is to say, yeah, but there's other markets in the world. Brexit can actually open up those doors to those marketplaces, and you can sell those products in bigger markets. I mean, if you get in Nigeria alone with shea butter,
you
get 1% of the population. That's 1 million customers.
1% out of how many million?
1.5 million customers or
whatever. You've got to think big and think bigger.
1% of England is a small percentage, you know. So that's how you got to think. And also, as I said, the Buy British, where you've got clothes or other things that people make, cosmetic jewellery, a whole range of things. Again, if it's made in Britain, markets like China and Asia and so many places in the world, if it's made in Britain, has a certain standard as well that's expected. So you can get away, and higher margins, that's the other thing. It's the margin, because the cotton t-shirt in China is not going to sell. But a cotton t-shirt made by a certain brand in China will sell. So there's no point in just going over to China, because everybody can get a cheap t-shirt in China. But that's where you can get the higher margin goods.
Utilising your strategic location and positioning, being in the UK alone, gives you an additional USP. See it like that. Start to think of the positives. Absolutely. I have said to people, don't get me wrong, when I have clients that want to establish in Europe, or they want to think about starting a factory or business, because of the cost of establishing things in the UK, it can be a bit expensive. So some people are actually looking to Poland, Romania, and thinking about those overheads being less there, and they can get more for their money. But at the same time, when it comes down to the appetite of customers, UK's on their hit list, no matter what they're producing or selling. When they think about the appetite of the consumer, the UK's on. When they think about quality and having that GP mark on their products, exactly, they want to have some kind of assembly in the UK so they can achieve that. So that when they are selling again, they've got that instant markup on their products. Now, we're going to take another short break, and then we're going to be welcoming our next guest, who's going to be Mavis Amankwa. Hopefully she'll be sitting next to me as soon as we come back. So see you after this short break.
When you're looking for a solicitor to deal with your case, you don't just look for any solicitor, you look for the right solicitor. An expert who knows what he's doing can deal with your case the right way, achieving the best results. OBASEKI Solicitors has more than 100 years of specialist experience serving the local community in immigration law, property law, human rights legislation, civil and criminal litigation, family law, employment law, Sharia law, business law, maritime and commercial law, providing professional legal services globally in Africa, Asia and Europe. Be assured we'll be able to deal with your case the absolute right way with results. So, contact us today by phone on 020-7739-7549 or go online at www.legalpower.com. When you're looking for a solicitor to deal with your case, you don't just look for any solicitor, you look for the right solicitor. An expert who knows what he's doing can deal with your case the right way, achieving the best results. OBASEKI Solicitors has more than 100 years of specialist experience serving the local community in immigration law, property law, human rights legislation, civil and criminal litigation, family law, employment law, Sharia law, business law, maritime and commercial law, providing professional legal services globally in Africa, Asia and Europe. Be assured we'll be able to deal with your case the absolute right way with results. So, contact us today by phone on 020-7739-7549 or go online at www.legalpower.com. When you're looking for a solicitor to deal with your case, you don't just look for any solicitor, you look for the right solicitor. An expert who knows what he's doing can deal with your case the right way, achieving the best results. OBASEKI Solicitors has more than 100 years of specialist experience serving the local community in immigration law, property law, human rights legislation, civil and criminal litigation, family law, employment law, Sharia law, business law, maritime and commercial law, providing professional legal services globally in Africa, Asia and Europe. Be assured we'll be able to deal with your case the absolute right way with results. So, contact us today by phone on 020-7739-7549 or go online at www.legalpower.com. When you're looking for a solicitor to deal with your case, you don't just look for any solicitor, you look for the right solicitor. An expert who knows what he's doing can deal with your case the right way, achieving the best results. OBASEKI Solicitors has more than 100 years of specialist experience serving the local community in immigration law, property law, human rights legislation, civil and criminal litigation, family law, employment law, Sharia law, business law, maritime and commercial law, providing professional legal services globally in Africa, Asia and Europe. Be assured we'll be able to deal with your case the absolute right way with results. So, contact us today by phone on 020-7739-7549 or go online at www.legalpower.com. When you're looking for a solicitor to deal with your case, you don't just look for any solicitor, you look for the right solicitor. An expert who knows what he's doing can deal with your case the right way, achieving the best results. OBASEKI Solicitors has more than 100 years of specialist experience serving the local community in immigration law, property law, human rights legislation, civil and criminal litigation, family law, employment law, Sharia law, business law, maritime and commercial law, providing professional legal services globally in Africa, Asia and Europe. Be assured we'll be able to deal with your case the absolute right way with results. So, contact us today by phone on 020-7739-7549 or go online at www.legalpal.com.
Welcome back, and we have our second guest with us this evening. It's the Queen of Marketing, Mavis Amankwa.
Hello, good evening. Good evening to you.
Now, good evening. Those of you who know, Mavis has been in the marketing business for more than 15 years?
Yes.
15 years. So there's nothing this lady doesn't know. But those who don't know you, please introduce yourself.
Okay, good evening everybody. My name is Mavis Amankwa and I'm a businesswoman and entrepreneur helping businesses to grow. I work with businesses from all different sectors in industry, helping them with their marketing, PR and finance.
Marketing, PR and finance. Now, as I said, there's nothing this lady doesn't know and hasn't seen. And what would you say for those people who are sitting down saying, I want to start business. Do I need a coach? Do I need a mentor? Do I need a marketer? And I also need to have my premises and finance. Gosh, I need so much. And they come to you and say, Mavis, help me. What's the first few things you're going to tell the person that says, help me?
Well, the first thing I'll tell them is that they need all of that, plus more. They need to be prepared. I think what I'm seeing over the years, being in business for a very long time, is that a lot of businesses are not basically growing or they're not sustaining. And a number of reasons in terms of not having a business plan. I speak to people all the time. They don't have a standard business plan. So that's definitely one. They need to make sure that their marketing is on point. And a lot of people do not go for the right target audience. Example, if you're targeting 75-year-olds, you're not going to get them on Facebook, are you?
Exactly.
Yeah. But some people don't think like that. A lot of people think that, we're going to the internet.
I'll spend all this on SEO.
Exactly.
And your 75-year-olds, they're not online, honey.
Exactly. So you have to basically, one needs to understand who they're marketing to. They need to understand their customers inside out. They need to make sure they have a business plan and a marketing plan. And they need to make sure they have money, because you need money all the time for business. Whether you're starting, whether you're growing, you need finance to keep it going.
I'm going to keep it very real, okay? Now, I'm going to be the person that says, Mavis, I need all these things, but I don't have no money. Okay, what do you say to that person?
Well, basically, it depends on where they want to go with their business, what their dreams are, what they're aspiring to be. I think most importantly, it's about starting organically. You know, some people, a man called me the other day and he said he wants £250,000 and he hasn't started, he's got nothing, no assets. And I said to him, look, you need to start from the beginning. Start with something small, grow the business, then look for investors and equity and all of those things. And I think a lot of people don't do that. They just want to just dive right in, and that's not what business is about.
Do you both, can I ask you both this, do you think that that's a problem in our, say, the Afro-Caribbean community? We want instant results, instant, measures, instant results. I've given you £50 for my marketing and I haven't had no sales. Or I've given you, I've done 2 coaching sessions with you and nothing's happened. Is it that we don't know patience?
I don't see any difference in any community. People come to business. The stats speak for themselves. In America and in the UK, that 80% of businesses don't get to 5 years. And that's regardless of your ethnic background.
Okay.
So therefore, that's not a good odds to start with. So that's why what Mavis is saying is right. Is you start from the right place. Your odds of making it are better. And having some money does help. If you've got no money, then you've got no backup. It's not that you can't do it without any money, but you have no backup. And we all know cash flow can be a bit like that. When it's on the down bit, if there's no cash, cash can kill you even though you got a good idea. So that's the
Exactly.
Cash
difficulty.
is king.
But I don't
And
see
queen.
any differences
And
really. I think one of the differences I do see is that maybe there's some communities are better connected
Yeah.
and have more
Yeah,
experienced people in their community that they can call on. So when
Yeah.
you can bring somebody like, uncle, look, can you help me with some cash? Can you help
Very
me with some
true.
advice? In our community, because we're not so business established, that way it might be a little bit more tricky. I think that's the key difference.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. There's no background. There's no, it doesn't matter your kind of DNA. But I find that in the community, in the African Caribbean community, sustainability is something that we lack in terms of
Sustainability.
in terms of staying. Business is long term, 10, 15 years. You want to create a legacy. You want to create for your children and your children's children, and we don't see that a lot in our community.
So people are not legacy minded. They're into, I'm going to explode. I've started this new company. It's going to explode through social media and I'm going to make millions. And then when it doesn't happen, they're thinking, oh, I didn't have that plan B. And what do I do now? It's not really happening. It's taking a bit longer. I've seen the sales. What do I do? So I'm asking you the question that I ask everybody that sits in a
Dun
chair
dun.
next to me. Dun, dun, dun. Profits or passion?
That's a hard one.
Yeah, just give us your reasons and explain. Profits or passion?
It's both. The reason being is because you have this passion to start your business, to move forward. Normally people start a business because something happened and they feel they can provide a solution or they're passionate about something. So I think that is the first thing. People say, do your passion first and profits will come. But there's a difference between passion and charity.
Oh, yes.
So one needs to explore what they want to do, where they want to go, and then work out how profitable the business is going to be and when can it become profitable. It might not be overnight, but I believe that you have to have a bit of both.
Now, I was speaking to Mr. St. Hill, and much like you, I'd like to sort of explore some of your success stories. So can you tell us generally, without breaching GDPR, but just tell us some of your successes when it comes to clients. How long has your longest client been with you? Or give us some of the examples of those who've been really successful with you.
Well, there's lots really. I mean, I first started out working in diversity communications, so I was working with lots of clients, mostly government, Metropolitan Police, HMRC, really big corporate clients, HSBC, the banks, the financials and things like that. And that was really good, and that was a really good portfolio. But over the years, things have changed. I've kind of gone through 2 recessions. I've seen the kind of good and bad of business, and I had to digress.
What about the ugly? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Please add that.
Yeah, the ugly's definitely got to do with the cash flow and managing people and making sure that you can sustain. But I think for me, what is really kind of made it really beneficial for us as a business is we've been able to diversify, we've been able to go with the trends and the fashion, and we've been able to look at multiple streams of income within the same industry and sector.
Now that's quite important because people can sit down and think, well, I'm a cake baker, and they forget about the cookies, the cupcakes, the loaves, the options that customers sort of change. Trends come and go when it comes down to any industry, and you've got to stay on top of your game. You've got to be amongst your colleagues to know what's trending. You might even sit down now that the price is starting to go up on a few things. You might sit down and collaborate with people and bulk buy. One of the things that people don't seem to realise is collaboration is also king and queen. When you work with like-minded people and you work with people that are in the same industry as you, you actually improve your industry together. There's no point fighting over clients when you could actually collaborate and sit down and think, actually, if that's your market share, that's my market share. How do we even make it bigger? Working together is a really good thing if we can manage to do it.
Correct.
Now, what's next for Mavis? What's sort of on the horizon for you?
Lots of things really, but I think for me, my passion with the profits is to help businesses, to help small businesses, to help entrepreneurs, to help people within the community to build up themselves, to sustain their business, to create a legacy. And we're doing a lot more training, a lot more mentoring, a lot more coaching, because even though our main area is helping people to get business loans. You can get a business loan, you can get funding, you can get finance, but if you don't have a mentor or you don't have a coach or you don't have that support, that money could go instantly. So we're giving a lot of finance support, if that makes sense, because when you look at the statistics, as Sari said, a lot of businesses don't sustain for like 3, let alone 5 years.
But what do you say to those businesses that have been going on? Let's say they've hit the 10 years, they've had their wonderful anniversary celebration, Brexit's on the horizon, they don't know whether they're going left or going right, their staff, and I'll talk generally now, the staff are coming and going, nobody's loyal anymore. What do you say to those people in that rut thinking, gosh, do we invest? Do we pull back? What do you say to those people there? Do we increase on marketing to get our market share? Those are I would say, some of the general problems, but we have asked you to call in. The number's on the screen. So if you have questions for our guests, call in. What would you say to those businesses that are in that 10-year itch, if we call it that, the 10-year itch?
I think the 10-year itch, obviously, you have a different set of challenges. So you need to basically look at your business, how you've managed to get to the 10 years, what's worked, what hasn't, come up with a really good plan with multiple streams of income. I think with the whole Brexit thing, people need to just get on as normal. I think that's the main thing. People need to get on as normal because nobody knows what's going to happen. But one thing that's not going to happen is everything's not just going to grind to a halt and we all going to get swallowed up. That's not going to happen.
People will still want to get things from
Exactly.
Even though the media make it really, so many things are happening. But I think if we look at it, this country is a country that's very powerful, with or without EU, and we may take a dip, things will happen.
Britain.
But I think for business, people are always going to want to eat, people are always going to want funding, people always want to get on with business, people want to get on with life, and when you look at it, you think, well, you can't stop, you have to go on. So we shouldn't get scared, we should just be calm.
Yes, that hill, the 10-year itch.
I think it's this. I agree 100%. One of the things we say, we call it an alignment, is realign the business. So even after every year you could do it, but after 10 years, definitely a good time to realign, which is basically realign the business with your family, your goals, your staff, and the customers. Because why I say that is because it can go out of line over time. You recruit staff, and over 10 years, you got one from your uncle, your aunt, your cousin, and whatever. You know how people often recruit in small businesses rather than a formal recruitment system. But then if you ask yourself, if I ask all of those staff, what is it, why are you here? And what is this business all about? Half of them don't even know. And then you're surprised that the staff don't behave the way you want them to behave because you haven't told them what is expected of them or what performance standard they have. So when you realign, you can realign actually, why did you go into business 10 years ago? Is it still your passion, or is it something else? Maybe it's money is more important, maybe something else is more important, being with your children, whatever. But when you realign that, then you can say to your staff, look, this is what my business is all about. This is what we believe in. And we'll manage you against that. If you don't go along with it, then we will get somebody who does. You actually recruit in that way.
I do say to people all the time, human beings change. Our emotions, our goals, and if you're working with your colleagues, you'll notice some don't come in and have that good morning the same way they used to 5 years ago. Some might come and go, and it's not the same. Good morning, how you doing? How's your weekend? What's on the agenda for today? Yeah, people change. So one of the things that we've got to realise is automation's in place. You've got to make sure that you as an employee are relevant even within your business. If you see that your leaders are not taking innovative steps, speak up. Put your suggestions through subtly and politely and civilly to your management. But why not? Get yourself recognised. Let them realise how much of a value you are to that whole enterprise. It's surprising, the one thing that I do is I do exit interviews, and I also ask young people what they would do to make the business better. It's a very important question that I ask them, and believe me, I learned so much from it.
Great question.
Sounds stupid, but the next generation, they are so far forward thinking digitally. So when you ask for that level of insight from a young person, they'll give you revelations about the communication in your office, different things. And it's important to understand, even people who are uncomfortable, why they're uncomfortable in your business. It's a revelation. I'll just say it like that. Now we're going to take a very short break, and hopefully after the break we'll have some calls. And even if we don't have some calls, what we would like to do is again talk about some of the issues people are having, and again some of your successes. It's important that the community and anybody who's tuning in is inspired and also informed. So after this break, we're going to give you some more information and some more inspiration. See you in a moment. Excuse me. Now, I think that the break is not going to take place. So we'll continue. Now, going forward, information. What do you think people need to know in relation to some changes that might be on the horizon? For example, for us people that are doing law, there are changes with regards to some of the government charges that is going to take place. So you've got to look out for sort of registration fees are likely to increase. Are you aware of any changes that are happening within your industries or within business that people should be aware of? We all know about Brexit.
I think definitely GDPR. That's changing all the time. I was reading the other day where someone didn't have a simple ICO certificate. So
Wow.
basically, if you collect data of other people, even the card machine, anything to do with people's names and personal information, you need to be registered with the ICO. And it was just unbelievable speaking to one of the ladies, one of our associates. She says, a lot of them have got no clue. It's £35, everybody.
Wow.
It's the Information Commissioner's Office. You get a database or you buy a kind of license, if you like, for £35. You can collect data. A lot of people don't have that. So GDPR is something that people need to look into and take serious.
I'm
because
astonished if you are dealing with people's data and you do not have that simple ICO certificate. The fines that you can face are quite serious. Apart from the fines, if you get a complaint, it will be looked into, and if it's not satisfied at the first level, it may go to an ombudsman, and unfortunately you could find yourself in a lot of hot water. So gathering data, people might not realise that once somebody calls into your business, you write down their name and their number, you've gathered data. As simple as that. And if you're using the card machine, as Mavis has said, again, you're gathering data. So just get the certificate. It's a simple registration process that you can do online. Go onto the website. It's as simple as ABC, and even if you find it difficult, you call the number and they'll guide you through. Any other changes you can think of?
Well, I think one of the things that I've said to so many business owners now is that where the pressure of money is always an issue, especially when you're new, but even when you're not new, cash flow. But there's so many tools, as you said, young people are more aware of it, but they're not necessarily aware of business tools. So I've tried to educate my clients, but also prospects and people generally about the tools out there to help leverage your business. There's so many websites you can get now that are very low cost, if not free, because a lot of people are not selling online. They just need to kind of have their face and somewhere where people can just check them out. So you'd only need a basic website for that, just to contact you and so on. There's lead pages, lead generating pages for landing pages that people can opt into things, purchase things or book on something. That's a way of capturing data, and of course having a database, some sort of CRM system or EPOS system, electronic point of sales. I constantly encourage that. I went to the restaurant show recently. People saw some of my posts, and they were some from something like £30 a month to £20,000. But somewhere in there, even if you're at the base level, you can afford something very basic CRM system that's only costing you. I know one that's even about £10 plus VAT,
which is
for a basic CRM that can capture all your customers' data in an environment that you can improve your marketing and what's going on, even if you don't do the email side of it, but just to know where your customers are. So I think there's loads of these electronic tools that people can use in their business that just are so low cost to just save you money, but that is the way to really build a business. If you don't have a database or systems, then you don't really have a business. What you have is a kind of a self-employed in your head business. It's not really a business.
So my phrase for that is digitalize or die like the dinosaurs. The CRM, the data capturing, having an automated process.
Absolutely.
So many people are oblivious to it, and you've got things out there that with one click you can invoice your clients, capture them, send them a thank you email, and you do all that, as I say, at the touch of a few taps on your keyboard. But again, if you don't know about it, if you're sitting down in your corner, not networking, not going out there, how are you going to know about it? And younger generation, as you said, a bit more different. So what would your advice be to those people that sit down and say, CRM, what are they talking about? Not you're laughing, but you know, I tell you now, And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when I was at home, having my kids going to the office, kids office, people would talk to me about certain things on social media and I wouldn't know what they're talking about. I'll just go, yeah, okay. Oh, interesting. And it's until I started networking that I thought, oh, that's what they meant. Oh, this is what's capable. Oh, I've got to get to know that. And it was only through going to different networking events, meeting people, that actually found out what was available out there. So what would your advice be to somebody who's a little bit confused, a little bit maybe intimidated by the digital talk?
You have to get digital or die.
As I say, die like the dinosaurs.
I mean, for people like myself and probably Asari agrees, we're a bit different because technology came in much later on, and we've had to adapt. And I think there's a lot. The other day I was saying to someone that I remember when I first started business, we were using fax machines. And a fax machine, my daughter, who's 18, said, "Mum, fax machine." Like, it was just, she just didn't know what that was.
I do inductions and I take kids around the office and I show them equipment and I say, who knows what a fax machine is? Only a third of the children that I show around. And I say children, but I'm talking about year 11s and year 11s through to their university ages. Only a third know what a fax machine is. So
so I would say that definitely. So for me, I'm always trying to keep up with the times. I think even though when you've been doing business for a long time, you have to go with the flow. It's a bit like clothes. You don't start wearing flares and bell bottoms. If you started doing that right now, everyone would think that you're very dated. So you have to go with the flow. Personal development is important. Keep learning, keep going to events. Young people, yes, I've got probably about 8 staff and half of them are millennials, and they really tell me a lot of stuff that maybe I had some idea, and they make it very clear to me why this needs to do this and why this does that. Things like on Instagram, just a simple, how do you know the questions that it asks is, oh, do you agree with my poll, or do you like my hair color, yes or no? Even though I'm quite good at Instagram, someone showed me a much quicker way, and it was like a young millennial, and this is all for business. It's about basically knowing what's going on within your industry. And if it's not your area, that's fine, but you have to bring in the right people to help you to do that. Bring in experts like ourselves. One thing I've noticed with a lot of businesses is they want everything for free.
And they want to DIY.
Exactly. And then when the DIY all goes wrong, that's when they're going to come to you to come and unpick all the DIY and start again. And sometimes some things cannot be fixed.
Yeah, and it might cost a lot more to start again.
Can I make a suggestion as well? Trade shows and business shows. I don't go to as many business shows as I used to, because the mistake people make in business, they go to the business show and bring a whole load of business cards with them, right? And they just go there and give out business cards to everybody, and nobody's interested, because people don't go there to buy, they go there to sell. And it's a mistake. So networking in that is to have a different approach and say, what relationships can I build, and who can I get to know, and find out a bit about people. But at the business shows, go around, don't think about selling, go around and see what is out there in the industry. Go to the HMRC stand, go to the stands that you don't think of going to, the ICO and whatever, and say, what is the government saying we've got to do? Get the leaflets from them, and they'll tell you all the basic things you've got to do. Trademarking your goods, people are selling food and not having food standards on it and all kind of stuff like that. So these shows, they have all that. An industry, whatever industry you're in, there's a show about it. Go to the register for them. Most of them are free, and just go and see what's there. And that's where you see the EPOS systems and the CRMs and all that. Because the support for that industry, they tend to have their stands. Go and talk to them and just say, what do you offer?
Do not DIY your business aims.
Bad idea.
It's a bad idea. But if there's a shortage of money, try and find out the free information. It's out there. Now, Mavis, if people want to get hold of you, how can they get hold of you?
I'm on www.richvisions. Oh, it's come up on the screen. richvisionssb.co.uk.
Oh, sb.co.uk.
Yeah, richvisionssb.co.uk. You can just Google Rich Visions. I'm Mavis at richvisions.co.uk. You can find me on the social media,
Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah, the whole, just Google, as I say, just Google Rich Visions. If you want business support, you want advice, we're there to help.
And marketing, she's a marketing queen.
PR.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry I couldn't do the call-ins today. Not sure, we had a little bit of a technical problem. But if you have questions, you've got both of my guest contact details, or you can contact me and I'll forward on your inquiries. Now, next week, hopefully, we're going to be having someone who's going to come in and talk about ladies in politics. Now, we have got, obviously, a female Prime Minister, but We need to see more. We need to have more of us ladies out there, ladies in leadership. We're going to be giving you some tips and advice if you want to get involved in your community space, what you can be doing. And also, just that encouragement. Sometimes people need to have that little push to get them over the edge. And yes, we're going to be here to push you. Also, we're going to be talking about social services. As much as we talk about the business, we also talk about the social welfare and needs. Our expert's going to talk to you about how you can avoid having problems with social services, what you also need to do if you are having issues, and how to cooperate with them in order to achieve a successful outcome, hopefully at the end of your matter. Thanks again for joining us. It's been an amazing show today. Thank you to my guests. Thank you, Mavis and Michael.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Miss Asari Sandhill.
Thank you very much for having us.
And as I've said, it's been amazing having you as well join us this evening. We'll see you next week. And remember what I always say to you, be good. And if you can't be good, be careful. Take care. See you next week.
When you're looking for a solicitor to deal with your case, you don't just look for any solicitor, you look for the right solicitor. An expert who knows what he's doing can deal with your case the right way, achieving the best results. OBASEKI Solicitors has more than 100 years of specialist experience serving the local community in immigration law, property law, human rights legislation, civil and criminal litigation, family law, employment law, Sharia law, business law, maritime and commercial law, providing professional legal services globally in Africa, Asia and Europe. Be assured we'll be able to deal with your case the absolute right way with results. So, contact us today by phone on 020-7739-7549 or go online at www.legalpal.com.